This is Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the May 2nd special meeting of the Michigan City Parks and Recreation Board. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Good evening and welcome to the Michigan City Park Board special meeting of Monday, May 2nd, 2022. If you can please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and I'll make the roll call. Mr. Lang. Here. Mr. Freeze. Here. And Mrs. Spurlin.
Here.
Everyone here and accounted for. So the special meeting tonight is to discuss and decide on the asphalt project of the maintenance shop, lot adjustment to and according with Singing Sands Trailhead parking lot. If someone wants to give some details, it'd be great.
Good evening. This is a project that is asphalt as Mr. Latchford said, at the maintenance shop on Highway 212. There is right now a trailhead being built adjacent to the maintenance shop, and the northeast corner of the maintenance shop parking lot is dedicated to a asphalted trailhead. And it was Mr. Volz's idea to design this project to be in accordance with the other projects, so the park department could save money by using the contractor who is already on site. The contract here is before you and has been approved by Ms. Laura Nurnberg. And there will be a amount of money that will be transferred in order to make up the difference in the current high cost of petroleum.
Thank you, Ed. You had mentioned the Trailhead project, and then you mentioned the other project. Can you explain what the other project is?
If I said other project, I might have meant the trail because the trailhead is connected to the trail.
Okay. So the reason we're here for a special meeting tonight is because why?
Well, the contractor asphalting the trail and the trailhead is working adjacent to the parking lot of the maintenance shop. And it makes sense to use the contractor to asphalt the maintenance shop to eliminate demobilization and mobilization cost.
Sure.
To save the governmental body money.
Yeah, thank you. So this is a cost saving. So if I understand you right, they were there to do a portion of this area. And that's when Mr. Volt said, hey, if you're here to do the portion, why don't you do this whole area, which we plan to do anyway?
At some point in time, it's needed, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just trying to paint a clear picture as to how we got to this position, why we're here, why it's a special meeting, and why we're taking the special purchase policy into consideration. So any additional detail or flavor, just so we could be completely transparent as to why we're here. So that also brings us to this non-bid situation. Would you like to explain that, or anyone?
Well, it does mention in our purchasing policy that if the governmental body can save money due to the job and the way it exists, there will be no need to solicit other bids.
Okay. And so the savings from this, combining these projects, were determined to be significant enough to qualify for that? And do we have any idea what those savings were?
I would like to divert that to Mr. Volz because there are actually some other items that cause some savings.
Good evening. Welcome.
Patrick. So I don't have the form in front of me of what it would be if we did this as a standalone. But I can say it was in the thousands of a difference. Also, the product would be a little different because this is a shared space. So we would end up having seams, which could be an issue with water penetration and also could be an issue with plowing. So it would be a little more helpful to the overall project to have this completed as one surface.
Okay, thank you for that. And can you explain, because at our last meeting, you shared a little bit with me what you saw going on and this was kind of your idea. Can you just share with everyone so that everyone has?
Well, I knew we had it on the 5-year master plan to get that parking repaved. It's a little hard to see in the shadowed picture, but you can see so much of the parking spaces or the parking lot is completely gone. When they started pulling out their section, we're just looking at it and I'm like, there's got to be a way to tie that in. Unfortunately and fortunately at the same time, with the position I was in last year, we did have some money set aside. So we encumbered that with the thought of getting this all wrapped up. We thought we had it all handled then, and then petroleum went up. So that also caused an issue, which brings that resolution in. But so.
Great, thank you for that. And the resolution that Pat is moving some $13,000 around to pay for these additional costs.
Yep.
And it would have been, well, the combining of the project makes sense. And that's why I'm grateful that when you're aware enough, you're looking out 5 years ahead, you know what's on our plan, you see something happen here, it just makes sense to combine these projects and get it done. So I commend you for spearheading this
Thank you.
project. Any other questions?
Just a quick comment, and I've learned over the past couple of years, I always mention this, where the funding is coming from. There's going to be a decrease in the maintenance seasonal salaries of the park department and an increase in the maintenance building material. So there's a transfer within the park department. They are not coming to the city to get additional money. There's no additional appropriation coming from the riverboat or any other fund like that. This is a move of money within the park department to cover this.
Thank you, Brian. And since Pat, you kind of manage that budget, you were the one that said, hey, I can get by.
Yeah, because again, it's that fortunate and unfortunate. You know, I'd love to have plenty of seasonals there that it will be a good problem to have later in summer if that budget's getting tight. But as we are projecting right now, that's not going to be an issue. So
You're still having difficulty hiring seasonal
Yes.
employees. All right.
So.
That's good to know. Good to know, not good news. Yeah. Questions or comments from the board?
Only one other comment. Pardon me. I think that what you're doing is, from a cost-effective standpoint, is extremely well thought out. You had mentioned the mobilization and demobilization, and once they're set up, they might as well do one and the other. Thinking this out.
Thank you.
Wise maneuver.
I have a question, just perhaps going out in the air. Excuse me. You talk about can't find people to work. Specifics, age, and about what would they be doing as seasonal help?
Well, we prefer over 18 because there are restrictions under 18. 16 really ties our hands. Believe it or not, a lot of power tools they can't use, and there's a lot of time restrictions on when they can start and when they can finish work. But again, our biggest thing is the biggest plus is having a driver's license. We got a couple that don't, so then it kind of we almost have to chauffeur people around sometimes more than we would want to, as opposed to divide and conquer. But anyone that can run weed whips, and everything we do is teachable. Anybody coming in with a good attitude, we'll teach.
Thank you.
I have one other question, unless there's someone else with a question. And if you mentioned this, forgive me. The reason for the urgency is that they were going to mobilize for the trailhead?
Yeah, they have already removed their section and are in the process of paving the trail section.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. So before us tonight, we have the agreement between the owner and contractor that if that's before us to approve tonight. It has been reviewed by our attorney, Mrs. Nuremberg. It's with Reith Riley. And then the second item, should that pass, is the resolution 962 is moving the funds that we talked about within the maintenance department to cover the contract for it. That would be the part that's already been encumbered plus this new additional $13,000.
So this, the original agreement is part of the whole Singing Sands.
This would be a separate contract from the Singing Sands agreement. This is just for the maintenance lot.
Right, but this original one that you're showing, that's for the Singing Sands, this original one.
Let me, I don't believe so.
Because under Article 4, it says it's $77,000. But I know that your project is 13, so
No.
what?
Yeah, please.
That is correct. It is the 74. I have the 65 encumbered from last year's money. The original estimate was 64, but since we had to roll this into spring weather, the cost of petroleum took it up that much.
Wow. So this amount, this was already part of like in the 5-year plan that was already, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, the old price and then this is the new price
Right.
with this. Okay.
Thank you. So that would be, the first item then would be entertaining a motion to approve the agreement between the owner and contractor.
I would move that, excuse me, we accept this contract as written with Reith Riley to do the paving of the parking lot by the maintenance building. Is that where we're okay?
That's it. Yep.
I'll second.
Mr. Freeze,
Yes.
Mrs. Sperling,
Yes.
Mr. Lang.
Yes.
And I'm a yes. So the contract has been approved. So next up, we have to move some funds within the maintenance department, and I'll just read this resolution number 962, whereas the superintendent of the Park and Recreation Department and has reported that certain transfer of funds are necessary within the budget of Michigan City Department of Parks and Recreation because of unanticipated expenses from various accounts, which accounts do not have sufficient funds available for disbursement for said expenses, and whereas there are funds available for said purposes in various other accounts which are not expected to be paid from said accounts during the remainder of the budget year, and whereas Michigan City Park and Recreation Board has determined that said expenses are necessary and that an account transfer should be made in order to meet said expenses. Now, therefore be resolved that the following transfer be made from the following named accounts to the following named accounts for the purposes stated herein. Therein, decrease fund 2056505 maintenance fund, seasonal wages 13,000, increase fund 2056505 maintenance fund, building materials $13,000. Unless there are questions, objections, do we have a motion to approve resolution number 962?
I would move we accept resolution number 962.
I'll second it.
Mr. Freeze,
Yes.
Mrs. Sperling?
Yes.
Mr. Lang?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Motion carries. Any other questions or comments from the board or the public?
I would just like to thank Mr. Bolts for his foresight and looking ahead and saving the city and the park department money on this project, which eventually had to be done anyhow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
All right, unless there are no other questions or comments, I believe our next board meeting is next Wednesday, 11th. Thank you. Motion to adjourn?
So move.